We're gonna dive deep into the knee over toes guy, and we're gonna start right now. What's up, everybody? It's Dane Miller from GarageStrength.com, and if this is your first time to the channel and you're interested in becoming a better athlete, you wanna learn about sports performance, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you ring that notification bell so we can help you become a beast. Okay, so the knees over toes guy has just been taking over YouTube, right? Everybody's talking about him. He's all over the place, and a lot of his content is really entertaining. It's really enjoyable, and for me, being an Olympic weightlifting coach that also coaches throwers, that coaches other athletes that have competed at the world championship level, that have gone to the Olympics, that have been in the NFL, I love it. I'm excited, and I wanna see what he's got to say. I wanna see different movements, because I love looking at different coaches and just stealing a little bit here and there and trying to plug that into my giant system of training, right? So let's start right off the bat and see what he's all about.
I have no secrets. I went from 10 years of chronic knee pain, surgeries, nicknamed old man, to now some of the most bulletproof knees on earth. This one, never supposed to fully bend again because of its surgeries. This one, diagnosed tears I didn't operate on, and it was only from the ATG system, not from foam rolling. I don't do any treatments or take any supplements.
Okay, so basically what he's doing is he's saying, you know, he's starting everything off with this contrarian, challenging these axioms, right? He's jumping far, he's doing this depth drop, he's shocking his system, but he's also shocking your false beliefs that if you've got knee pain, you should not be capable of doing this. And so he's clearly pretty good. One, from the copywriting, from the copy speaking perspective, he's doing a pretty good job of drawing you in and really challenging your typical thoughts. So let's see. He's got good mobility too.
The lowest entrance point is 2 feet, and the key form is actually actively flexing your tibialis. So here's where I would stop, boom. I'm flexing the tibialis at the bottom of each rep. The other key part is not bending the knees, and the third key part is finding somewhere like a wall that you can only use knuckles or palm, but that you can't actually put your hand on top. People cheat that all the time.
And what he's doing a very good job with knee over toes guy is doing a really good job of walking you through simple steps and walking you through how to execute those very simply. And I think that's very important for a lot of people to prevent injury, because what he's doing is he's you know, some of these stretches are pretty easy, but some of the stuff he gets into later on can be very complicated, but he gives you those step-by-step processes and also sort of gives you a little bit of a governor to make sure that you don't actually get hurt. So he's doing a good job of that.
Well, the first person to credit my inspiration to get flexible hamstrings was Kadur Ziani. There's 2 others to mention. Kadur is teaching me that to kick the rim, and if I look at his angles, this is not enough. Let's look at the bottom position here, right? This is not enough. You actually have to make contact of knee there and then kick. Very tough and requires more range. So for someone needing to progress to more range, I do think that would border into more extreme activities, probably.
I think I want to one of the things that I really like here, especially with lengthening this hamstrings, is like a really easy model, an easy motto that I like to utilize is lengthening is strengthening. And so there's various fitness influencers or strength influencers, and some people will say, dude, just go to 90 degrees. A lot of power lifters will say, don't let your knees track forward. And in the realm of sports performance is if we can think about lengthening as strengthening. And so full range of motion movements in specific joints can be very advantageous, one, to your health, but also to improving your strength, which in turn should lead to that spike in your sports performance, because it's going to lead to a little bit more stable joints. So I really like what he's talking about. I agree with him, and it's fun.
Now, the person who taught me the Jefferson curl and who taught me that it was okay to round the back was Jeff Wolf at the Flexible.
This stuff's not new either. Think about this too, is that a lot of, you know, Jefferson curl is pivotal in gymnastics training. This is not new. That's the one important thing too. Knees over toes is not new. Keep that in mind. These are concepts he's just sort of bringing back to the surface, and then also, you know, expanding upon. So I like to say that, especially with fitness, it's what's old is new again, and he gets into split squat stuff, and a lot of that split squat stuff, originated back with Bill Pearl back in the 50s and 60s, and it also, Anthony DiTillo talked about it, and then Charles Poliquin went into deep detail in Poliquin's certification courses. A lot of that work was based around teaching the split squat or teaching the deficit split squat and how that could help with various joints, and so he's doing a good job of just sort of bringing back the standard knowledge, standard information, and challenging a lot of current trends.
In a wrestling sport, have to
Here he
pick
goes.
up another
There's
human
Carellin.
being like this. At that point, does the risk of going heavier, or does the risk of getting beat up, which is more important? So I personally, just to see, for no sport performance reason, I drove this with Jeff watching me to 100% of my body weight, wrist below toes, and I was fine.
That's some great mobility,
Don't be
Jesus.
offended. I'm giving you the truth there. 25% I've seen very safe, and the literature looks really safe for. The most important thing to know about this one is that I don't even believe it's worth training until the way we work on in zero is just a couch.
One thing too, going back to that Jefferson curl, if you are into like postural restoration, a lot of athletes are constantly in this extension, right? They're constantly in that lumbar extension, and training through that flexion can really help take a lot of lower back stress off of athletes. So it's important that obviously athletes that are Olympic weightlifters or that are throwers, if they're doing heavy movements, they should be in extension, but it's also important that they know how to get into that same position through flexion. So that's good.
Hence we work on getting that
Couch
hip flexor
stretch just
forward.
lights
Through zero,
people up.
dense, and standards, we're building world-class hip flexor length and quad strength all the way up through here with the ATG split squat. So for me, I put those together.
This is a great stretch.
I'm actually actively thinking to pull with my piriformis and get my thigh all the way down. So this is something I didn't think would ever be possible for my body.
I'm
now,
definitely gonna be stealing
this is
some of
only
this stuff.
25% total. You don't have to go that heavy, and for most people, you'll want to start here and just let gravity do the work. You see this? So this is just letting gravity do the work. So that would be less weight. This would be a great starting point. So this is a pretty simple one. You can do isometrics and stuff, but I found that this is the king, along with the ATG split squat, for protecting that groin because of how the groin tweaks in sports when it's under load.
So I train a lot of throwers that do a rotational technique, and so with a long sweeping leg, and then this can also lead to issues in the middle where somebody plants in the middle and they might get a little bit of tension in the groin. I 100% will be stealing this movement, implementing it into some throws-based training, because that's going to really help protect that whole hip girdle. This is this exercise right here, I believe, is almost exactly what Charles Poliquin used to work with. And then into here. If you even notice, he's letting that heel pop. I don't necessarily dislike that. I think you just got to be aware with certain athletes that can lead to a problem. And then he does get into, once he's loaded. Once he's loaded, you can see he gets that mobility even further, and that's where it's interesting, because he does display how loading can improve your mobility.
Standards then begins the toughest loading, which is bar on front, which I have now driven to the world-class mark of 100% body weight in additional load. Your suggested tendon bathing is 2 sets per leg of 5x5 bottom quarter reps. So you go 1, 2,
Tendon
3,
bathing.
4, and then on the 5th one, come up. That's a rep.
Dude, people are so good at coming up with good terms. Man, that's where I gotta step it up. That's really good. That's a really good term. And that everybody's gonna associate that with the guys, with the knee over toe guy. This is a really good warm up. Very good warm up.
Transforming your ankle mobility. So you just focus in the warm up on that hamstring covering the calf.
Yeah.
Let the weight gradually work on that ankle mobility. After your 2 sets of 5x5 with 30-second breaks, we have 12 levels of measurable loading. The only optional level is the first level of body weight only, but don't discount this because there's different.
Again, he's doing a really great job of walking people through these progressions. They might be a little too in-depth at times, but it's really exactly what a lot of people need. And for me as a creator on YouTube, it's also like, dude, this is stuff that I want to start to do a little bit better job with these progressions on various exercises.
The best athletes I've ever trained can do 100% of body weight, perfect form, 6 reps. I can only do about 80% of my body weight. So that's the beauty of the standards program as a whole, is that you can calculate for your entire body, where do you still have room to grow? So as great of a transformation as I've made, I still have room to grow. And guess what? This same path, my mom just has to maintain body weight in this movement, and that gives her elite longevity. So anyone can do 0, anyone.
Go on, he's talking about some of the athletes he's worked with. One of the biggest things that we've seen, especially even with Olympic weightlifters here at Garage Strength, is single leg squats. So we call them single leg squats with the rear leg elevated, and utilizing the tendon bathing stuff as a means to warming up. And I've seen, football players, Olympic weightlifters who tend to be bilateral all the time, really reap a lot of rewards from those single leg squats, even when we load them pretty heavy. We've had, high school athletes single leg squat close to 400 pounds for reps. And I think that one of the biggest things we see is how well that targets the posterior chain. Now we throw in this as a means of warming up or prepping for a heavy single leg session. That stuff ends up carrying over really well to the sports performance realm.
Well, basically every step, if you were to look at this in slow-mo, we're actually getting strong in that pattern. I'll catch up, keep going, of your knee over your toe.
This was actually one thing I wanted to bring up beforehand was I've never understood the knee over toes tracking. Like, you don't want your knees to track forward past your toes. I've never understood that, because actually even where I pause this right here, you can see Mark Bell in the background. When you walk down the steps, your knees go past your toes. Like, how human beings move. You go up a hill, down a hill, no matter what, your knees going past your toes. So to shy away from that has always just been this thing, like, especially, fortunately in Olympic weightlifting, it's always been a joke, right? People have laughed that people still coach this, but now it's cool because he's doing a good job outside of the weightlifting realm just to try and bring, all these people together. Like, look, this is not that, it's not that good that we still teach don't let your knees track forward, because that can lead to really bad back pain. That can lead to really stiff ankles. That can lead to really stiff hips. And he's doing a really good job right now of addressing all this.
Of the sport, the more intensely you would want to go, but every study indicates that same thing. The stronger we are backwards, the more protected we are forwards.
Yeah, and that is actually true. Franz Bosch has a whole bunch of stuff about that, about getting people, and even Coach Herndon, who's a sprints coach at Tennessee, sprinting backwards can really show you very quickly where there's leaks in various motor mechanics. So he's very accurate with that, and I agree with him. Good job there. Little fist bump.
Be professional, but have a plan to outlift everybody you meet. I have a plan to be stronger backwards than everybody I meet. With exercises like this, we don't have to treat this like
knee over toes guy, you're not stronger than me backwards.
So I just want you to do one set, but like really get it to a good point of blood flow, okay? So between what we just did and this, we're getting absurd amounts of blood flow through there.
Yeah, because this motion was kind of being demonstrated on that last thing.
Yeah,
Now,
this is
sled,
tough.
different surfaces are going to vary, right? So you have to find what works for you on your turf. But this is nice because it's just a load.
Right.
A load is a load anywhere, right? So yeah, stand this foot all the way on the board.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, right there. Good. Now you're going to lower this one to just the heel. Yep. Good. And now flex up.
And this is where Poliquin comes back around, Peterson step up. A lot of like the side Peterson step ups. Poliquin taught this stuff for 25, 30 years. He's doing a great job bringing it back around. And that's where, even a Peterson step up with a heel not even being supported. This is great stuff.
Gradually, yeah, and get as much of that to cover as possible. So this is the base of the calf. I want the hamstring to touch there, but you may have to lift your heel.
Right, I see.
Okay, and then go back up. Yeah, and just use that left arm there. Good, good. Yep. Let that heel come up, it's good. Yep. Trust that heel to come up a little bit more as you go down. Lift the heel, yeah, there you go. Crush my finger, break it. Okay, good, good job.
Dude, here's another thing. This dude loves this stuff. He is so into it and he loves it. He's not a con. You know, he's not trying to go out and just chill with Mark Bell because he's popular and he's got a lot of followers and he's, you know, very successful business person. And maybe he's got some business arrangement. I don't know. But one thing is, watching him instruct, he is into it. And that's like this genuine, he's got a genuine feel, and that's important. When you get that genuine feel from somebody, even through, you know, through a camera, through a computer screen, that's pretty impressive.
Under stretch, so it's lengthening.
It's not really open.
Lengthening is strengthening. Knee over toes guy, don't steal that from me. Lengthening is strengthening.
Then this starts now loading in, and you see how it's starting to get that heel flat. Okay, and this ankle had major sprains. Years after the sprains, it still was super stiff. This actually gave it the loading. Then we start loading to bar on back. Now, if you notice the posture, it allows you to concentrate on it, but then the end goal.
Again, now think about a lot of these positions that he's shown. This is a lot of clean and jerkers used to clean this way back in the 50s. A lot of snatchers used to snatch with the split jerk. This is stuff that bodybuilders, Bill Pearl was talking about this stuff 50, 60, 70 years ago. So this is really, really good. It's sound information that's coming back around because it works, right? And that's important. It's not just some fad. This is stuff that a lot of people have been doing for a while.
That's,
yeah.
Good job.
The old sissy squat. I don't know where you got that from. VMO gives you the most balance. I don't.
This is an accessory movement.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Yeah. But let's get your digging now. VMOs are looking crazy good. Also notice from a side angle, notice what's happening through his feet. So we have a number of studies now showing that the stiffer that ankle, the more plantar fasciitis, the more heel pain, the more Achilles issues, and then the more knee pain. So without realizing, you're loading through that ankle mobility. Feel that? But you're thinking right here, so it's a side effect. Look at that shin angle right there. You ever watch your Barry Sanders running? You ever watch?
I actually was just gonna say it, and I have never seen this video at this point. That shin angle is the shin angle behind acceleration, and that's what makes football players so fast, and that's what their game is. Their game is all about deceleration, acceleration, deceleration, acceleration, and that's where this stuff goes a long way because it's gonna help athletes that have to cut a lot. It's going to help with linebackers.
So here's why this is important. It just frickin' gets right behind the knee.
Right.
And the Nordic tends to be something we just either, oh, you do it, or we just like stop doing it. And the glute ham is dope, but the glute ham is more still on the upper. It's good, but it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, this is good. This Nordic hamstring curls, I think they're this is where I tend to disagree with someone like Franz Bosch, actually, because he's like, well, the hamstring is in an isometric state when sprinting, and I don't buy it because I've had so many top-end athletes that when we hammer a movement like the Nordic hamstrings, we can see their 40 drop drastically. They almost have no hamstring pulls. That's how we got some of our high school guys that are running 4.5s, 4.6s. They're 4 or 5 star running backs in some of the best recruits in the country from doing, we call these hamstring pulls, but the Nordic hamstring curl, and it's going to be lengthening, and then you're going to be going back through after that long eccentric, you're going to come back into that concentric motion. So I love this. I believe that this is one of the best ways to increase speed and to strengthen an athlete's hamstrings.
If we stay with, if this is our knee rehab, I'm sorry, it's just not, you know what I'm talking about, the whole functional, it's, so, right, so that's bodybuilding, powerlifting applied to now bulletproofing.
My whole recap, dude, and I only saw like the first 3 to 5 minutes of this video that we just reacted to, right? I really, really like the knee over toes guy. I think he's bringing up a lot of stuff that has, used to be extremely popular. He's done a good job sort of bringing back a lot of knowledge from Charles Poliquin, and that's a guy that I spent a decent amount of time with after I was with Anatoly Bondarchuk, and it's, he's bringing a lot of that stuff back up to the surface. He's doing a good job of demonstrating those progressions, and he's also just doing a good job of telling people, like, hey, this is important stuff. There's a lot of science behind it, and you need to start to think outside the box or outside your own prescribed box and realize that there's a lot of information out there that you haven't been taught. And so he's doing a really good job. Knee over toes guy, you have done a very good job, and I still will challenge you to a sled pull backwards with way more weight than you.